Thank you for joining me back again. If you've not subscribed to the channel, I would encourage you to subscribe as we talk about various things coming across religion, business, and all sort of life hacks and life experiences. So click, click, click. Okay, so today I wanted to have a conversation around Christianity. I want to have, so put it out there, right there. I identify as a Christian. I believe in the message of Jesus Christ. I just honestly think it's the perfect love story. I'm a sucker for love. I just think it's such an amazing love story, and hence that is the faith that I rock with. That is the faith that I have chosen to walk in, right? And so today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that and how I move through that faith and how it affects my everyday, it affects my daily. Okay, so I'll tell you a little story about how I grew up. I grew up in a Christian home. And for most of the time, a lot of people think that because you grew up in a Christian background, grew up in a Christian household, it makes you a Christian. I was no different. I grew up, I went to church every Sunday. And so I thought I was a Christian, right? Cut to I think early 2000s, and I came to do my first degree at university at Leicester at the Montfort University, right? And you come in, you are away from home for the first time, you're just the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want, and I believe that is where, you know, that faith, whether it is that you're a Christian or not, that is tested, right? So I believe that at that point in my life, that's when I had to make a decision whether I was going to be a Christian or not. So I did all sort of things that I'm not about to put out here today, but as you do as a fresher at a university in the UK, if you know, you know. So did all of that, but there was, you know, a sense of unfulfillment that was still inside of me, right? So I didn't even know it was there. I just knew that I was not the same person anymore. And as time went on, I had an encounter. I had an encounter that says to me, and it's just like, I don't even know whether I should go ahead and share this encounter. Maybe I will. It's something minute. It's something that, you know, to the regular ear, it just means nothing. And for me, that experience says to me that there was more to life than what we see on a physical. So, okay, I'll just go ahead and share it. It might make a bit more sense. So we used to go to, let me just put it out there. There's things that we'll be doing. We'll be going through the routine of going to church. We'll be going through the routine of being involved in Christian activities, and yet not still be a Christian. You need to know that, right? And I believe when I was at uni, I was still going to church. In Leicester, I think we were going to Agape at the time. Like, it was the church that most of the young people during my time were going to. And then Lighthouse came. And then we're doing Lighthouse as well. So Lighthouse, I think, had a meeting at the university campus on Wednesdays, right? So I remember one Wednesday, but I'm walking through life by this time thinking that whatever God that I knew about back in the day, you know, that God with all the things that I have been doing now, the God has left me. God has left me. He's gone. So I was just moving through life like that, but you know what? So be it. He's gone. He's gone, and so be it. Okay. So I'm walking one day to go to this meeting on Wednesday. I still went to the meetings. It was. Why did I do it? I don't know. Even though I felt like I was no more a child of God, it was the sense that I felt deep within based on some of the things I was doing. But I still went through the motion. And so I want to encourage you, okay? I want to encourage you that whether or not that you are there in your faith and your walk with God, don't abandon fellowship, okay? Because sometimes maybe it is in that fellowship where it will click and you're like, So anyway, I'm going to one of these meetings. I was working in Superdrugs in Leicester at the time. I transferred from London to Leicester, and I was working whilst I was at uni. So I was coming from Superdrug. I bought my chicken, Maryland chicken. If you know Maryland chicken, you know what's up. That was the thing back in Leicester those days, right? So I'm eating my Maryland chicken, and I just feel like my mouth smells of chicken, and I'm going to sit down with a group of people to discuss the Bible, like, okay, I wipe my hands and all that. I'm about to get there. I'm like, oh, I wish I had a chewing gum to just put in my mouth, before I get in. I need a chewing gum to just put in my mouth so that when I'm speaking, I'm not smelling of, chicken. I was very conscious of that. But I was looking, there was no shops around. I was running late. I was like, I'm just going to go. When I go, I'll just sit right on the edge. I hope there'll be a seat on the edge. I'll just sit there. I'll sit right at the back so that I'm not close to anyone, so I'm not smelling of chicken. My 18, 19-year-old self just being overly cautious. So I walked into the room, and I just sat down right at the door. There was a seat at the door. I just sat down right at the door, right? Sat down right at the door. Just as I'm sitting down, one of the guys that I know, his name is Nana. Nana comes out of he was sitting right at the back on the other side. He's going out. So I'm trying to sit down. He's leaving to go out. And as he's going, he drops a pack of chewing gum in front of me and just gave it to me, right? But bear in mind, I've just walked in. I've not spoken to anyone. No one can smell my chicken mouth yet. And as I get in, I'm sitting down. He's coming from the back on the other side of the room, coming and going to use the washroom or something, and just dropped this chewing gum in front of me and gave it to me, right? The sense that I got at that point in time was that I still hear you. Little things that are minute that you think are little mean something to me. I want to take care of you. There's an overwhelming sense of somebody heard what I was thinking in my head. Listen, I was going absolutely crazy. I'm sitting there going absolutely crazy. I've not even typed this chewing gum by this time. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't say this out loud. Did anybody hear me? I'm going crazy. Okay. I'm going crazy at this point. And then I just realized that, Sylvia, God has not left you. God is still with you. And, if you still want a union with him, if you still want a relationship with him, you can have it. Okay? You can have it. It was so overwhelming, and I didn't show it at the time in the meeting. I went back to my student accommodation. I just sobbed. I cried. I'm like, yeah, God. Since then, like I did a 360. I think the people that I used to go out clubbing with, doing all manner of wild things with, they must have thought what's happened to this girl. They must have thought what happened to this girl, right? And I just stopped being friends with them. I just like, cut, poop. And then I end up with just one friend that, throughout my university years stuck together and just stayed on course until I finished, right? And that is when I realized that is the time that I became a Christian. I made a conscious decision that, yes, I want to walk this life. I want to do this thing with God, and I've never regretted it. I just still, every so often, you feel how you feel, but there's that sense, there's that voice that, just helps you through, right? And so I'm absolutely passionate about Christianity. I know the benefits of it. I know the peace that it gives me. I know the hope that it gives me as I move through life and the challenges of life and etc. So that is the thing. And so I have been fortunate enough that during earlier on in my Christian walk, I sought for purpose, and I sought for what would God have me do? What is the plan for God over my life? And I honestly feel I have been walking in it for so long, for as long as I can, think or, do anything. So for me, Christianity is more of a lifestyle, right? It has to be a lifestyle. It has to be something, it's an action word, it's a doing word, it's a way that you relate to people. It's that people have to encounter you and feel like they have experienced a certain love of God, a certain, relationship that you have with God. It emanates out, right? So when people say, I'm like, yeah. I lead with the joy. I lead with the joy of the Lord. Like it is my strength, really and truly. And I lead with that. And then I weigh people as how are we gonna do this, right? So when it is that I encounter other people that also say they are Christians and they've been in the Christian faith for so and so length of time, and some of their actions, you're like, the Lord is your shepherd; He will not be found wanting, right? Some of the actions really makes you question, and I say this because there's a lot of talk, and I've heard it. I've heard it from last year being in Ghana and having a conversation that someone said, oh, the Muslims, if Bawumia becomes president, the Muslims will take over and all of that and all that. And I always say that the only way they do that is when it is that as a Christian body, we do not function the way we're supposed to function. If we move away from this message of love and compassion and all of this to being selfish and all of that, being like people that don't know God, because there's a message of us dying to self, right? There's the message of us dying to self, and the only way we do that, because I am of the opinion that the natural human nature is to be selfish. The flesh wants you to be selfish. It wants you to think of you, me, what can I get? And a lot of the time, that's what even us as believers, that's what we're pursuing, right? And if we keep doing that, there's no way that we are expanding in the kingdom here. There's just no way we're gonna do that, okay? But we need to move into a space where we're selfless, where the love of God overtakes us, and that is what we emanate when it is that people encounters us. I'm not saying be foolish out there, because there are people that want to take advantage of you, and I want you to be aware of that as well. But as a believer, yes, your action is everything. It's everything. How you relate is the way that they know that you are His child, right? And I always say, like, if I go to church with you and you've not seen me at church for a long time, and you approach me like, oh, you've not been to church for so long, I think out. Like, whatever you're saying is going out in this year and going out that year. But if you approach me from the place of, how are you? How can I help you? Then there's a baseline for conversation, right? Because it's not so much about the numbers that we have. It's about the quality of relationship. It's about, because I get asked a lot. Like, what church do you go to? What church do you go to? Like, people want me to invite them to church, right? But my experience with God that keeps me in that church might not be your experience, and I don't want to sell you false hope. Sell you false hope. So I don't. Someone said to me, "Oh, is it like you don't want us to come to your church?" And I'm like, "No, it is not like that, right?" But I know I am with God, and I have a reason of being in this particular ministry, right? I have a personal reason for being in this particular ministry. And unless you have that personal reason, maybe it might not just be for you, right? And so I don't want to advocate to you that the way I am, my being, the way I'm relating to you, the way I'm trying to emanate Christ is anything necessarily linked to a place that I fellowship. But I believe it's something that you can cultivate. It's something that you can consciously make an effort to develop, so that people, wherever you fellowship, so that people can see you and see God and experience the love and the kindness of God, right? So as I walk through this online journey with you, I do hope that will be your experience. And I'm not gatekeeping where I go to church. If you want, you're more than invited. But I'm saying to you that our experience with God, it is one that is personal. It is one that is intimate. It's the one that is outside of a particular building, because now you are the temple, right? I carry that with me so passionately that I have to understand that I am the temple. I am the place of worship. I take God with me. When I show up in a place, God has to be seen, right? It's a personal thing, and it's not no more so much as a place for me. So yeah, I want to encourage you as a believer to let your faith be so practical. And if it means to you that you need to go out there and evangelize and speak about Christ like the way maybe other religions do about their religion, then go ahead and do that. There's different ways that God has called us to minister, to share the gospel, right? So I take every space I go in as an opportunity to emanate what it is that God is doing in my life and just share Him without even saying anything, right? But you have a different assignment, and you just got to serve like that, right? It vexes me. Oh, I might not say this here. I might cut this video here and post this bit another time, right? So if that's the case, then bye bye for now.